Matthew. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple, and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased. And then they have a conversation with him, and said to him, Hear you what these say? Jesus says to them, Yea, have you never read? So they ask him something, Jesus responds, and then he leaves and goes to Bethany. Mark is very different. And the scribes and the chief priests heard it and sought how they might destroy him, for they feared him, because all the people were astonished at his doctrine. And when evening was come, he went out of the city. So, much less mentioned in Mark. I would guess that the conversation probably happened before they desired to kill him. If they're going to go to some kind of meeting, I think after Jesus cleanses the temple, they would go to him, have that question from Matthew. Then, since Jesus responded and shut them up, they would say, that's it, we got to kill him. Luke also says something similar. And he taught daily in the temple, but the chief priests and the scribes and the chief of the people sought to destroy him, and could not find what they might do, for all the people were very attentive to him. In John, it also says, The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, Perceive you how you prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. That seems like they're admitting amongst themselves they're not achieving their goal of getting Jesus killed. Because they said, you prevail nothing. The whole world has gone after him. So since in Luke it says they could not find what they might do, for all the people were very attentive to him, it seems like the verse from John should immediately follow that mention. They didn't know what to do, for the people followed him. So John, they say, we prevail nothing, right? They didn't know what to do. And then finally, the world has gone after him. Because it also mentions Luke, the people are listening attentive to him. So I'm going to put Luke and then John. But before that, I'm going to put the first verse from Luke, combine it with Mark where it says they sought to kill him. But that's going to come after the actual interaction Jesus has with them. They say, hear you what they say? And he says, yeah, I hear what they say. It was predicted. Then they're going to counsel, or at least go amongst themselves and say, we need to kill this guy. However, even before all of that, the verse in Mark says, the scribes and the chief priests heard it. And this is the very first words after Jesus cleanses the temple. It makes sense that after his final words, but you have made it a den of thieves, to just then say, the scribes and chief priests heard he did this. Then they would question him. So the very next words are going to be from Mark, that they heard it. And I'm also going to have from Matthew, and the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, he healed them, and that's when the chief priests and the scribes questioned him. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. Hear you what these say? And Jesus says to them, Yea, have you never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings you have perfected praise. Now the next verse in Matthew is just that he leaves, but a whole bunch more stuff happens before he leaves. So I will put that. Mark, and sought how they might destroy him. Luke, he taught daily in the temple, but the chief priests and scribes and the chief of the people sought to destroy him. So I'll put mostly what happens in Luke first. This and is going to be both. Yeah, that and is Mark and Luke. And now Luke only. He taught daily in the temple. But the chief priests and the scribes. But the chief priests and the scribes and the chief of the people sought. This is where I can combine. Sought to destroy him. Mark sought how they might destroy him. Sought is definitely both. Mark has way more descriptors, so I'm going to go with that. How they might destroy him is both. For they feared him, because all the people was astonished. All the people was astonished at his doctrine? That's annoying. Luke, and could not find what they might do, for all the people were very attentive to hear him. So I'm going to combine were very attentive and was astonished. The reason they feared him was because the people followed him. Which means I'd have to start with Luke. Luke continues, and could not find what they might do. For they feared him, because all the people, that's both. And I'm going to go with were instead of was. People were, not people was. The descriptors from Mark are astonished at his doctrine. From Luke, it's very attentive to hear him. I think they should be astonished first, because that is what led to their continued attention. So I'll go with Mark first, astonished at his doctrine. And very attentive. So I have to have an and from somewhere. And, okay, the next word in Mark is and from the next verse. But it's for when evening was come, he went out of the city. But Matthew already has that. And he left them and went out of the city. So I'll just use Matthew when that time comes. And I'll use Mark. But that's after a period, though. So I'm just going to skip the period, put and finish up with Luke. And very attentive to hear him. So this is how it reads now. And Jesus says to them, Yea, have you never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings you have perfected praise? And he taught daily in the temple, but the chief priests and the scribes and the chief of the people sought how they might destroy him, and could not find what they might do, for they feared him, because all the people were astonished at his doctrine, and very attentive to hear him.